that better? Oh,
We're missing your head. Yeah, that's right there is good. Yeah, it's just your shoulders are so muscular, Glenn, that you're busted through. Hold on
wow.
here.
Gee, sounds like we had a honky tonk.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got a music and a beat. All right, so today's topic, we want to talk a little bit about what we think this year holds for us. And I think the easiest place to start is let's start with our most optimistic guy, because even as we're being invaded and the world is coming to an end, Glenn is going to tell us why it's so great that it is coming to an end, because it's going to be a new beginning. So, Glenn, tell us what's 2023 going to look like from the for cryptos, and in particular for us.
Well, Larry, thank you for that introduction. But just to start by saying, we're not optimistic and positive about life in general, whether it be relationship, business, health, sports. I mean, what's the point of living? So there's that opening statement, and then there's the middle of the road statement about being a realist, and by all means be positive, but the facts are the facts, and you've got to deal with it. And then the last category is, a pessimist, and everything's always going to be a bear market. Well, I'm going to kick off by saying I'm just going to use Bitcoin as a point of reference here, to just see that as a representative for the crypto market and as a whole. And it's fair to say that it has been that to a large extent. In my mind, as a technical trader, it has been, to me, pretty resilient. It's hung around 16 to, just call it $16,000 a coin for an extended period, where the other asset classes and financial markets have been incredibly volatile. I mean, the equity markets took a proper smack in December, and we usually expect some sort of center rally. So I believe this sort of consolidation and what appears to be a support level of some sort building would be we might be flat to sideways as the months and year rolls out, because I do believe that the man in the street is going to feel it in 2023. I think it's going to be relatively brutal, in the sense that you're going to see the property market being affected. The man in the street is not going to be able to hold 1, 2, or 3 different properties that he thought he could in the past as rental investments. And we all know that property is the cornerstone of any economy. But sticking with crypto, here's my positive take, is that it's the human cycle is a strange one. When we start to run, and we all know how quickly things can run, it's pointless buying crypto or Bitcoin at $50, $60, $70, $80,000. Now's the time to start building a position when you can afford, and when you've got an allocation, is to make build that position in our fund over the next 12 to 18 months as things start to stabilize for the next run. And I think that sums it up pretty well. I'll start with that. For you guys, thank you.
Okay, so Glenn, you do believe that Bitcoin will end the year higher, lower, or the same as it is today?
Well, just to repeat myself, it has surprised me. And remember that us as an investment committee believe that there was a lower target. Correct me here. I think we said 14, 15 at one point, and it's held in and around $16,000 through a tumultuous period. So even if it's flat to sideways, it's a great opportunity throughout this year to add to that position. Do I believe it's going to be higher come December this year, Larry? Honestly, don't know. I'm focusing on the fact that it's been incredibly resilient. It's sort of held its own. And that to me starts to signify an opportunity to add to a position. I mean, there seems to be some sort of flaw in my mind that's developing. In other words, a support level.
Okay, so just throwing this out, everyone knows the rule of 72, right? How long X times Y always equals 72, and it tells you based on an interest rate how many years it takes your money to double. In a traditional stock market, if you're getting 12% a year and your money doubles every 6 years, that's actually considered a phenomenal or excellent return on your investment. So if I just took the same 6 years, just the same 6 years, Glenn, and you could just real simple, double, triple, 5 times, 6 years from now, what do you think Bitcoin could comfortably be at in 6 years from now? What could it be at if it's, let's call it 17 today? What could it be at the end of 6 years?
So are you asking me, Larry, still?
I am. I just want to hear you.
Some previous podcasts, we discussed the future of digital assets. And again, we're talking about Bitcoin here and Bitcoin. And we made reference to the dot-com period and how our lifestyles and society and commerce would operate online. And a lot of people thought it would never be the case, or it just, it just didn't see that it had the legs. We all know where we are today. When your own grandmother is buying online and it's all happening. So to answer your question, Larry, in 6 years from now, I'm of the thinking, along with the Kathy Woods of the world that have made some exceptional predictions on the cost of the price of Bitcoin, not cost, the price of Bitcoin, predicting $150,000 or $300,000. I forget now to be accurate, but 6 years from now, I really believe will be in excess of $150,000 a coin.
All right, so that's almost 10 times your money versus traditional in stocks too. Graham, let's go to you. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to be fairly boring, and I say I'm pretty agnostic of where price action is going to take us this year. I'm not overly bullish or overly bearish. I think that the market sentiment is very bearish if you just look at the general commentary, not only around crypto but also around traditional markets. And we're certainly not blind to some of the macro forces that are in play at the moment, which I think gives credibility to that bearish stance. I mean, first off the bat, if you look at the fact that we still have high inflation rates historically, and we're still in an interest rate hiking period, those do not signal bullish price action for the year. So we can't look past that. But at the same time, I'm reluctant to jump full on into the bear camp because sentiment and the situation can change quickly. And Bitcoin's been and crypto has been through 2022, which was an incredibly challenging, very high stress period for the whole market, and has obviously taken an exceptional amount of pain. Bitcoin's down 75% of its all-time highs. Other cryptos down 85%. So, and at some point, you've got to be looking at this asset class and saying, long term, these are attractive buying levels. I think if you look at the Bitcoin halving cycle, that's telling me that we're in a buy period. So I really like the prospects of buying Bitcoin between the prices of $15,000 and $12,000. I think that's an exceptional long-term buying level. Does that mean that we're going to see a reward for that in 12 months' time at the end of the year? Not necessarily, but if we look over 3 years, 5 years, plus, I really think that we will look back and say that these were an incredibly this was a really good buying opportunity to take advantage of this. So just how we looking to play this in the short term in the portfolios, if we're still sitting on quite a lot of cash, but looking to deploy that if we reach those levels that I spoke about. So we're sitting at around $17,000 at the moment. But if we get a decent move to the downside, we'll be looking to increase our exposure. And again, not for the next couple of months, but with an outlook of a couple of years. And not only will we be looking to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also looking to identify the new projects that will be well positioned for Bitcoin and Ethereum beating returns during the next bull market. So I still think that Bitcoin and digital assets has a place in one's portfolio, 100%. So if you're still on zero, it's definitely time to get off zero. And one thing we know for sure, it's better to make an allocation to this digital asset space now than it was 12 months ago. That's the only thing we know for sure. Instead of buying at $50,000, you now have the opportunity to buy at 17, 15, possibly lower. So whatever the allocation percentage is right for you, my view is that it's important to have that in your portfolio. That's obviously what we're here to do is to give the best possible returns for the clients that are making the allocation to the space.
So, it's kind of like the bonsai tree philosophy of investing in cryptos, just like it was at the beginning of the internet. Number one, you know that when the bonsai tree eventually starts growing, which is not in the beginning, it looks like nothing's happening. But when it eventually starts growing, it grows magnificently and turns into one of the best trees you could have invested in, so to speak. For people that are watching this or getting into the cryptos today, the first thing is they have to understand that these are bonsai dollars. Okay, don't look where you think, hey, you're going to double your money, you're going to make that's not what we're doing this year. You believe that we're really in a smart accumulation period, and these are investment dollars that are bonsai tree type or marathon. These are slow and steady, and they are going to grow geometrically such that when we look, as Glenn said, 6 years from now, if the stock market did what it normally does, you'll double your money. Glenn, on a conservative side of predictions compared to everyone else, is saying we could do 10 to 20 times on your money. And by the way, that is normal to do that, no differently than if you had invested in the Apples and the Amazons and the Googles right when the internet boom started and left it alone, you would be making those same kind of returns. That's normal if you're in the right place and you gave it the right time. So my last question then before we move to Bilal is, Graham, where do you think we'll end up at the end of this year? What would be a reasonable expectation? Because you're pretty conservative and balanced. Where would you like to see us and believe it's better than 50-50 ending 2023 at?
Look, if we are 20 to 30% up on Bitcoin for the year, I'd be pretty happy with that. But I think that as the space matures, and one of the big themes that I think we're going to see in the next bull market is Ethereum taking more market share or market cap away from Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin it's cannibalizing Bitcoin, but I do think that Ethereum is going to emerge as the winner. I think that you're going to, well, not necessarily the winner. It's not necessarily a competition, but it's just I think that Ethereum is going to grow at a faster pace because I think that you're going to see the trend towards digital assets as a service and a platform as a greater investment case than store of value. So I think that's one part of it. DeFi is obviously a very exciting part of the industry as well as central bank digital currencies and what that means for Ripple, XRP, Quant, and a couple of other projects allocated to that space. So I do think that as things go forward, the conversation for digital assets is going to be less about Bitcoin and more about digital assets as a whole. So I think if Bitcoin is up 20 to 30%, then there's a chance that many other projects that we're looking to allocate funds to will be up a lot more. and that's again the value that we're looking to give to investors is to identify those type of opportunities.
Okay. Well, actually, you know what? I mean, if we're in a 5 year accumulation pattern now, and you just so happen to have made 20 or 30% this year, I think people would say not bad, because it's all about the comfort level of investing. And what we're saying for people who are investing in this space, we're watching it 24/7 for you, but what you need to do is you need to make sure you understand we are going for a 5 year ride. And that's how you have to look at it. So it doesn't really matter what it's going to do in between. We're expecting and anticipating all of this, but just relax and let's be patient and wait. That's what it needs. Bilal, when you look at a couple things, you look at, let's move from Bitcoin to a Cardano, a Solano, and a Polygon. Okay, let's look at maybe those three, and there may be a couple others. Um, do you believe that any or all of those are going to be some of the winners in the future? And is there anything unique about one or two or any of them that you are pretty excited about? So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And then secondly, is there anything that you think is going to happen in 2023, whether it be governments, whether it be regulation? Is there anything that, or inflation, is there anything that you think is going to cause movement, in your opinion, of all of the markets, including the cryptos, to go one way or the other? So start with those three coins and just tell me the substance and what you think about that first.
Yeah, maybe let me start with the second part of the question first,
Sure.
to paint the macro picture, which is I'm highly aligned to what Glenn and Graham are saying. We 2023 could be a very challenging year, but what that is an opportunity to accumulate for long-term investment. So the first thing is crypto is not any investment is not for 100% of your capital. Crypto being a high risk investment, it is not responsible to take 100% of your NAV and put it into any particular asset class, especially crypto. So you should always right size your investment for your risk profile. And you would need to have a balanced investment across various asset classes. So if you do not have a crypto position, as Graham's saying, why not buy Bitcoin 80% below, the price that where it was? I mean, I forgot the number Graham said, but we've got discount levels to buy quality crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum at the moment, and dollar cost average in during the course of the year, and it's possible that the price may go down further as the year progresses. From a macro perspective, there's a lot of noise around whether or not we will see a recovery in 2023, whether inflation is under control or not, whether or not there actually is a recession or not. So I prefer not to listen to what people are saying, but let's look at what people are doing. And what we see recently is a lot of noise around workforce reduction and large companies firing or not increasing their staff complement. We saw it in big names like Goldman Sachs, we saw it in Genesis. And what that tells me is that the boards of those companies are looking at what's over the hill, and they feel that right now is the time to cut costs because leaner times are ahead than what we're sitting in right now. So from a macro perspective, my view is that we are actually in for slightly harder times than where we are now. And how we manage that is in our Spectrum fund, we have a large cash component. So we are aware that markets may become cheaper ahead. We are aware that there are headwinds that may present, and therefore we are holding on to a cash pile that we will deploy into those opportunities, because those headwinds will be opportunities. And this is not a surprise. This is not scary. This is the normal course of business. This is a season of investment. When you farm, it's very clear. There's a time you plant your seeds, you water your seeds, you grow them, then you harvest them, and then you just send them to the grocery store, right? So we it's harder to determine what season you're in asset management. Because people have different views. My view is that right now we've just finished our harvest, and it was a selling period, and now we are looking at a planting period where it's a period to be deploying into dollar cost average into quality crypto, riding the harvesting cycle, riding the credit contraction reversing into a credit easing um, cycle over the next 4 or 5 years. And what from a macro perspective, that sets up a good seed investment to grow into the next few years. From a micro perspective, to answer your question more on crypto, um, this is the most bullish I've ever been on the technology of crypto. Not the price of crypto. The price of crypto is determined by these external factors, but we have now seen the bulk of the purge of, as Glenn says, the dot-com bubble, where all the fluff or most of the fluff is being removed. Clarity of regulation is coming through, and it creates a robust environment for us to move forward in the crypto space. So I like to use the analogy of riding horses and cars. Right? When people were riding horses, I don't know how many head-on collisions they had, how many 10-car pileups they had. I doubt there were too many. Right? We live in a world now with cars where there are all these new risks, where cars capsize and buses knock over and hundreds of people die, and whatever. These new risks have happened. Even though we have those risks, we don't move back to riding horses. Right? We make rules that say this is a highway, this has got 4 lanes, you stay, you turn right, red means stop, green means go. And what we've gone through is the financial system is riding horses, crypto is a car. We are now adapting into that. We don't yet have the traffic light system properly agreed. We don't have the rules of the road. We don't have the safety belts. We don't have the bumpers on the front, ABS bags. We still just on the first version one of the car and the rules that are coming. This car has to be developed only through learning and testing, and regulation has to come only after. The best way for regulation to work is for if you the wrong way is if you overregulate and you constrain innovation. The right way to do this is to allow innovation to happen, see where people get hurt, and then regulate to prevent those injuries from happening. What we've seen recently is that human nature, you can't if humans are left unchecked, they will steal, and we've seen this behavior. What and not just in crypto, but we've seen this behavior in many other asset classes across time. So what where we're sitting now is we're seeing the market understanding that crypto can be is a financial system that can operate without the intermediaries, where you can have self custody, and we've seen a large trend where people are moving into self custody of their crypto, and this all is just embracing the technology um, for the benefits that it has. When we look at which cryptos in particular, I think have a lot of excitement outside of just Ethereum and Bitcoin, and obviously these Ethereum. I see Ethereum as the paper of the future on which contracts will be written, because um, all this. If we start to tokenize shares, if we start to make stable coins, these things can all be done written in Ethereum, and Bitcoin being the gold standard, the store of value that can actually be fractionalized but not controlled by anyone and not sanctioned, and able to operate. Um, you asked about Solana. I mean, there's a lot of questions about Solana with the FTX issues. not not really. I mean, it is cheap at this price, and I mean it would be a high risk, high return investment to look at Solana. But I mean, I mean, we would look from the Spectrum Fund to allocate into some of those um, higher risk plays if the quality is there. We're not at that point right now. The type of cryptos we more interested in are like your quantum, your ripples, the cryptos that underpin central bank digital currencies. And there is a trend for central bank digital currencies to become more commonplace moving forward. We've seen reports from various countries that are looking at this, and that in itself is another contentious issue. I mean, some people welcome it and others despise the idea because it could become a very much a surveillance tool. Um, and I mean, the question then just becomes, I mean, as long as the actors controlling the surveillance are acting in your best interest, which again, history tells us that, you know, people with power don't often act in your best interest. Um, yeah, it's fine if you're not a criminal and you have nothing to hide and you want to pay your taxes and you know that's great and that's who we are, right? But it becomes a problem when you have a different political view to the country that you live in, and you are then um, or the government has the ability to extract your money because you don't toe the line. Um, so that's where central bank digital currencies could actually become something dangerous in the future. But yeah, I mean, net out, Spectrum's holding cash. Um, we see that there are opportunities to buy into quality crypto. I'll if we were trying to pick one in 1,000, now we're picking one in 100, right? Because a lot of the fluff has been taken away, and fortunately, a lot of the fluff we were not allocated to anyway. Um, so our probability of picking better crypto is is um is higher because we've got a quality, we've got better quality in the sample at the moment.
Well, I think clearly digital assets are here to stay. They're growing. They're balancing out. Almost every company in every country is setting up, structuring, gearing. I mean, whether you've got the Schwabs or the biggest mutual fund companies, the Fidelities, all getting ready, banks, JP Morgan, the list goes on, to be able to allow customers to utilize and purchase and do transactions. So clearly, this is the next evolution. And as you guys said, um, just getting the lights on the roads and the rules of the game and the laws established, um, to the extent that you have the time, the bonsai tree monies to let them sit. You're right. You could not pick a better time to get in. And then I think where the average person, if you want, you could just go out and go to any one of the exchanges and buy a handful and just let it sit there. But I think the fact that we've got a pretty good team and we're going to watch it 24/7. We all have our own money in our own funds as well. So I think when it comes to doing something like this, uh, clearly, if you can do it yourself, great. If not, we have to be the one of the top choices since we are right now. I think we're the number one performing fund. So I'm real proud, and we've done a great job, and all thanks to you guys. So all right, well, listen, let's we all need to get back to work so we keep our eye on all the charts and then keep reading. And I will look forward to next week, our next podcast.
Well, Larry, before you end off,
Thank you, Larry.
we'd love to hear what you think. What do you think of price predictions for the year, and what's your outlook?
Well, Graham, I'm glad you asked me that. So I think whatever you think, because so far you've been like 1,000% accurate. And even though I guess the funny part is I always challenge Graham, And I said, well, I heard this, and I think that. And Graham is that cool, calm, while the engines just went out, the exit doors busted open. Graham's a kind of guy that gets on and says, okay, everyone, it's going to be a little bit breezier as we come down, but nothing to worry about. We've been cleared. Matter of fact, we're number one for landing. Okay, there's going to be trucks and people and lights and a band playing. So I'm looking out 5 years from now, and I am 1,000% confident, 1,000% confident that with you guys at the helm in 5 years, 6 years from now, I will outproduce at least 5 to 1 what I could have done if I had invested, say, with Warren Buffett in equities. And it's only because the marketplace and the industry and the technologies, it has that potential. The stock market isn't going to do 10 times in 6 years. It can't do that. It's been around. But like anything else, whether it was the Industrial Revolution or the Internet Revolution, when you get in at the very bottom, the geometric upside is off the charts. And there's no other place you can even land isn't, I don't think, going up by 10 to 20 times. But this does by its very nature, and especially the way some of the things are built, like the halving of Bitcoin in a certain amount. So I'm excited about where we can be in 5 to 6 years. You just got to close your eyes and know you're on a safe roller coaster as long as you stay in. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I like that, Larry.
All right, I'm going to go back and take a couple of Valium so I can make it for the next 6 years. All right, fellas.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks
All
very
right.
much.